Sit back and throw one back with your pinky in the air and a middle finger to the world, and join me, the eclectic gentleman Stephen Watts, as we look back on this day in pro wrestling history. But before we do, put that drink down, like, share, and subscribe, and without further ado, let's get our wrestling history on. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it is May 29th, and we're going to start off as we always do on a positive note. That's right, these are your pro wrestling birthdays. 1968, a woman who has wrestled with probably every company out there and doesn't get the credit she deserves, Lexi Fife. 1970, watch out for the Mean Street Posse, it's Pete Gas. 1973, the king of old school, Steve Corino. 1979, it's the man with the plan, Brian Kendrick. And last but not least, 1986, Dylan Post, but you can just call him Hornswoggle. Of course, on the flip side of that coin, your pro wrestling deaths for May 29th. 2009, the Golden Greek, John Tolos. Alright, enough of the sad stuff. It's time to get to the meat and potatoes. That's right, these are your pro wrestling history highlights for May 29th. And a short trip in the Wayback Machine today as we start in 1970 with Worldwide Wrestling Federation World Champion Bruno Sammartino and Batman, yes, Batman, defeating George Steele and Waldo Von Erich. Fast forwarding 7 years to 1977, a live event in Houston, Texas would have seen all three top world champions in North America defend on the same card, except NWA's Harley Race was unable to make the date. AWA World Champion Nick Bockwinkel substituted, wrestling twice that night in 2 draws, one against Race's scheduled challenger Terry Funk, and once against his own scheduled challenger Jose Lothario. The same card saw Worldwide Wrestling Federation champion Superstar Billy Graham defeat Mike York. 1978, New Japan Pro Wrestling and the Worldwide Wrestling Federation run a joint show in Japan, with such matches as Andre the Giant pinning Tsunami Fujinami, and World Champion Bob Backlund and Baron Mike Scalini defeating Antonio Inoki and Riki Choshu. Grabbing my boombox and going to the 80s, 1983, NWA US Champion Greg Valentine defeated NWA World Champion Ric Flair in a bout where only the US title was at stake. 1989, Dusty Rhodes defeats Ted DiBiase in his return to the WWF in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Grabbing my flannel and going to the decade of grunge, 1992. WWF Champion Randy Savage defeats Ric Flair via reverse decision. Flair originally won the match and the title after hitting Savage with a foreign object given to him by Mr. Perfect. But the decision was reversed when an official came down and told the referee what had happened. And last but not least in our short trip in pro wrestling history for today, 1995, Brian Christopher defeats Doug Gilbert for the USWA Southern Heavyweight title in Memphis, Tennessee, ending Gilbert's 5th title reign and starting Christopher's 17th. Those were your short but sweet pro wrestling history highlights for May 29th. I'm the eclectic gentleman Stephen Watts, and we'll see you tomorrow.